We all know that too much alcohol is bad for the health of human beings, but who would have thought that it could also be bad for aliens too? Welcome back, guys. It's Motion Recaps again, and today we're covering the 2012 action horror, Grabbers. Here come the spoilers. One night, something crashes in the sea near an Irish island. A group of fishermen go to check out the situation, and all of them get killed. The next day, a new police officer arrives on the island, and she meets her new alcoholic partner. Soon, they discover a bunch of dead whales on the shore, and then the local residents start disappearing. The two police officers soon discover that an unknown alien species is behind the attacks, and after they manage to get their hands on one, they find out that their weakness is alcohol. Now before you head off to the fridge to grab a cold one, take a moment right now and do us a favor. Subscribe to this channel if you've not yet already done so. If you're enjoying the recap thus far, hit that like button, totally helps us out. And on top of that, if you want to find out when our next recap is coming, hit that notification bell icon, it'll tell you right away. But for right now, let's go ahead and enjoy this one. Grabbers. The movie begins with something from space coming to Earth. It falls into the sea, and one crew member on a ship nearby sees it. The ship goes to investigate when suddenly one member disappears into the darkness. Then, the others join him. Then we meet our two main protagonists, an alcoholic police officer, O'Shea, who's ready to begin a new workday with some alcohol, and Lisa, a workaholic police officer seeking to impress her superiors by volunteering for temporary duty on a remote Irish island. O'Shea picks her up, and they meet each other on the way to the police station. At that time, an old man is taking a walk with his fellow dog, and they discover a bunch of mutilated whale corpses. At the docks, a fisherman named Paddy tells his friend Tig that he caught a sea monster and he shows him a crab trap. Tig gets closer to take a better look when something inside squirts on his face. Paddy then takes his catch to his home and he puts it in his bathtub. O'Shea and Lisa arrive at the beach to check up on the situation with the dead whales. O'Shea introduces Lisa to Dr. Adam Smith, who explains to them that the whales died in the water, and he shows them enormous wounds in the body of one whale. The two police officers then go to O'Shea's friend Declan, and O'Shea asks him if they can move and bury the whale bodies. Soon, Declan has finished his job. He and his men are getting ready to leave, but Declan notices that one shovel is missing, and Declan sends one of his men to get it. Suddenly, something pulls the man into the sea. Some time passes, and Declan goes to check on the situation, only to find that there's no trace of his friend. That night, O'Shea is with Paddy in a pub when Lisa shows up. She's renting a room there, and she just came down to borrow an iron. A bartender and the pub owner, Brian, give it to her, and Lisa immediately leaves. Brian's wife, Una, notices how O'Shea looks at Lisa, and she encourages him to talk to her, but O'Shea tells her that he's not interested. Paddy then tells O'Shea and Brian that he caught a sea monster and that he's keeping it in his bathtub. O'Shea thinks that Paddy is lying, and he goes to visit Lisa. However, he's too drunk, and after some small talk, he passes out. At that time, Tig is chilling in his house, watching the Night of the Living Dead. What exquisite taste. He suddenly hears someone knocking on his door. He goes to see who it is, and he finds Declan outside acting all strange. Tig's wife shows up to see what's happening, and Declan drops a few dance moves before he collapses on the ground. Tig goes to help him, and something snatches him. His wife closes the house door, and she hears something bashing the windows. She closes all the doors, and then she goes to close the fireplace. But then, something grabs her. Paddy gets back home, and he goes to check on his new monster friend. He finds out that the trap is broken, and that there's only an egg inside. Paddy soon finds out that the creature is still there, and it attacks him from the corner of the bathroom. However, Paddy manages to defend himself, and he stomps the life out of the creature. The next day, Lisa has a day off because it's Sunday, and she makes a quick stop to have a chat with Una before going out. Una informs Lisa that a big storm is coming that night. Una also reveals to her that O'Shea is a really good guy, and that he started drinking when his wife died. Lisa then goes to work. She opens a door from one cell and wakes O'Shea up. She explains to him that she brought him to jail because he passed out last night. O'Shea and Lisa then get a call from Dr. Smith, and they meet him and Paddy at Smith's laboratory. Smith then goes to show the alien creature that Paddy named the Grabber, and he explains to her that the Grabber survives on blood and water. Smith then tells them that he thinks that the alcohol is toxic to them, and that's why Paddy survived an attack. Smith then shows the Grabber's egg, and he explains that the dead creature is a female, and that the male is out there somewhere. O'Shea and Lisa take a ride, and they notice Declan's abandoned car on the beach. They stop to investigate. O'Shea decides to go and see if Tig knows anything, but then the two police officers find Tig's head. The two of them then bring the head to a local doctor named Jim, and then Paddy comes in, and he tells them that they need to come with him immediately. They arrive, and they see that something has wrecked Paddy's bathroom. O'Shea assumes that it was the male alien. He and Lisa decide to find it. Paddy leads them to a place where he found the female specimen. O'Shea and Lisa go to the cave while Paddy stays outside. He walks around the beach, and he finds a bunch of the Grabber's eggs lying in the sand. O'Shea and Lisa are walking in the cave, and for some reason, O'Shea shouts to see if someone is in there. Good job, O'Shea. You woke up the sleeping giant. The male grabber starts chasing them, and they manage to squeeze out of the cave. O'Shea thinks that they're safe because the grabber can't squeeze through the cave, and then the grabber uses his tongue to attack them. Two of them start running, and then they grab Patty. O'Shea contacts the mainland for help, but they tell him that they're unable to come because there will be a storm that night. The group also realizes that the rain will allow the remaining large male grabber to move about the island freely, and that it will attack the residents. The group arrives at Smith's laboratory, and they immediately proceed to light the female grabber on fire. However, the fire activates the sprinkler, and the water drops right on the female alien. The group shuts down the water, and they arm up before they start carefully approaching the alien. Suddenly, the grabber attacks O'Shea, and after a lot of struggling, Lisa and Smith manage to remove it. Then, the three of them attack the alien, and they beat the hell out of it. However, it turns out that she survived the first wave of smacking, so the group decides to give her another session. The group then meets with Jim and Brian. They show them the creature who's still alive, and then they tell them that the creature is allergic to alcohol. Benny gets an idea to spray alcohol on the alien, but Smith tells him that the grabber needs to digest it to be poisoned. Then, the group decides to hold a party that night in the pub to keep the island residents safe. Everyone will get drunk and instantly become poisonous to the alien, who will then avoid eating them. O'Shea volunteers to stay sober so that he can coordinate the town's defenses. The group then gets Lisa drunk to test how poisonous blood with alcohol is to aliens. After a few beers and a shot of Patty's homemade whiskey, Lisa's blood kills the grabber. That night, O'Shea, Lisa, and Brian enter a church, and they invite the residents to a pub. However, they're initially hesitant to join, but when Brian tells them that the drinks are free, everyone decides to go. Soon, everyone arrives at the pub, and they start partying. In the back room, the group meets, and O'Shea orders them to guard all the exits. He and Lisa then go to a squad car as a lookout. In a drunken stupor, Lisa Nolan reveals that she's come to the island to escape the shadow of her more favorite sister. Lisa confesses to O'Shea that she has feelings for him despite turning down his advances earlier. She also tells him that she's sorry for his wife's death, and O'Shea tells her that his wife is alive and that she just left him. At that moment, Jim gets out to take a leak, and after he finishes, he notices a bunch of baby grabbers approaching him. One of them attacks him, and his screams alarm O'Shea and Lisa, who immediately come to his help. They manage to defend him from the attack of the fierce babies, but then the dad rolls up and he kills Jim. O'Shea and Lisa then get back to the car, but the grabber attacks them, and they have no other choice but to get back to the pub. Brian takes a water gun filled with gasoline, and he makes an improvised flamethrower out of it. He gets out to kill the grabber, but he fails, and O'Shea helps him to escape back to the pub. O'Shea then tells the residents that they'll move the party to the upper floor, and that leaves the residents confused. Lisa then drunkenly reveals the danger that they're all in. Smith wanders outside the pub and tries to get a picture of the grabber, reasoning that his inebriated state will protect him from being eaten. Instead, the grabber throws him into the air and kills him. The grabber attacks the pub, and everyone panics and flees to the second floor while the baby grabbers take over the first floor. Lisa then gets an idea to lure the creature to a construction site, where O'Shea can grab it with a crane. Then the creature would die without water once the storm is over. Lisa then sneaks out to get the keys to Brian's car, and on her way, she kills a few of the baby grabbers. She manages to get the keys and a bottle of Patty's whiskey, but she gets surprised by the daddy grabber. He attacks her, but Lisa manages to defend herself. However, she accidentally sets the pub on fire. Everyone on the second floor starts to panic when the grabber appears on the window. Lisa drives the car to the balcony, and O'Shea jumps in the back of the car. They head to the construction site, and the grabber follows them. O'Shea and Lisa then get out of the car just to realize that there's no crane, and the grabber is getting closer. O'Shea tries to lure the grabber near the barrels with the gasoline. Then, he pulls out a flare gun, and he patiently waits for the grabber to come closer. However, the grabber surprises O'Shea, and he pulls him down to the ground. Lisa rams into the grabber with the heavy construction equipment, and she pins the grabber to the ground. That allows O'Shea to escape. He climbs up, and Lisa pulls out the bottle of Patty's whiskey as she tells him that it's time for a celebration. But then, the grabber grabs O'Shea's leg. But when O'Shea throws the whiskey bottle into its mouth, the grabber tosses him near Lisa, who takes the flare gun from O'Shea and fires it into the grabber, who then meets its maker. The two of them leave the construction site. As they walk back to town, O'Shea throws his flask away, and Lisa tells him that she'll take a few days off. The movie ends as we see the grabber's eggs are buried in the beach, and oh boy, they're about to hatch. And that's a recap of the movie Grabbers. Did you like it? Maybe not the most art house film out there, but certainly enjoyable. Share with us your thoughts in the comment section below. We would absolutely love to hear it. Thanks for watching another Motion Recaps, and I'll see you next time.